Oh, right. So
This is it.
right. This is it. Oh man. Okay. So this is actually the same setting. It's just that Zach and Chen Kang kind of
Yeah.
Count yourself in. Come in with more energy, man.
Come on.
Yeah, come on.
Okay. So what is this episode about? What is it about? We just watched a generational movie recently, right? In fact, this entire season of life kind of felt insane. We did a storytelling workshop. We went back, and then suddenly a generational movie came out, and like our whole CF camp people kind of watched it. And we're like, this is amazing. There's a lot of Christian meta-narratives here. We want to dive into it. So, the movie is actually called The Wild Robot. So, you might ask, how does a movie about a robot stranded in the forest have anything to do with Christianity or the Bible or anything like that?
Nothing.
Probably. But we're gonna think. We're gonna see if we can, right? But before that, can I ask you guys, hey, give a rating of the movie. Would this be something you recommend?
9.5 out of 10.
9.5. So,
The 0.5, why? Because it could be an age thing where my eyes, in some scenes where it got a bit bright for me and I had to right. It could have been an age thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So, is it the color? Is it the graphic or?
The colors, it got a bit sharp, but it could be because I'm used to some indie films and all that, where the textures are not so clean.
I think also you watched in a normal theater, right? Where it's dark and then only... Okay, I watched in the kid one.
Yes.
Where the lights are still left on just a little bit. So maybe that if you watched it in the kid theater, you probably wouldn't have had that issue.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah.
To mention, this movie does feel very indie home studio type feel. It feels very
like
homey.
back on like a shoestring budget Pixar,
Kinda,
right? Yeah,
but it's high quality by
DreamWorks.
Right. So, what about you, Joseph? Give a quick rating.
Also 9.5.
Oh, okay. 9.5. Okay. Very generous here.
Okay, as an art guy, the visual is amazing.
Yeah.
But I want to talk more about the plot delivery.
Right.
The plot delivery is genius.
Right.
Because
so don't talk about the plot yet. You can mention how it's delivered, but this is the non-spoiler segment first, real quick.
I know, I'm talking about the technicality.
Right.
So if you have watched many movies, you may notice that this cliche story delivery is so common.
Yeah.
Where if the movie wants to introduce a new character, the character has to deliver, quote unquote, a speech for 1 to 5 minutes.
Right. I feel like that's a Marvel movie kind of problem where they introduce a new character, they get like 3 lines of joke, their entire personality is like out there. It's a show and tell problem. They always tell, they never really show. They don't trust their audience picks up on what kind of character this is, which is, it gets a bit annoying. So, but this movie, you said?
This movie is treating the characters as natural as possible.
Right. Yeah.
The characters just being the characters. Unlike those Hollywood movies. I mean, most Hollywood movies.
Right. Yeah. So character delivery on point. They come on the scene. They don't waste your time. They be who they need to be in the story. Okay. That's a good one. What about you, Matt? You said you watched with your family. Would you recommend?
Yes, I'd recommend. I would give it a 10.
Ooh.
My daughters have seen it 3 times.
Dang. Yeah.
My wife has seen it twice. I've seen it once.
Right. So
all very good. Yeah.
So you watch it once. You watch it twice. I watch it twice. Once. Okay. That's a good average.
Yeah, that's why it's like if my wife was here, actually, if she would have took the offer to come into the podcast, she'd probably be better.
That's fine.
Saw it 3 times. Or 2 times.
If I invite Helen to the podcast, we're going to talk about Sophia the First. So
that'd be killer. She'd kill it. She'd kill it.
Right. Okay. Yeah. But okay. So that's like...
Can I say why? My general overview, right? General thing? General comment. I told my cousins they should go see it. I was on Discord with them earlier while they were playing a game. And I just said, a movie is good when it doesn't have to use cheap tricks to get the adult in for the movie, right? Like, and I said, here's an example. Generational movie, Shrek.
Right.
But how many just like innuendos, mostly dirty, we're all in there, right? And he's like, well, yeah, it's a Michael Myers movie. And I said, okay, fine. But my point is, it did use that, and so did he, right? But then you go over and you go to this one, and there wasn't a ton of super sexual innuendos. There was a couple, like the mom. I think the possum was the most clear, like joke for the parents out there, the moms.
Yeah,
and it didn't. You have to use that, and it totally drew in kids and adults. I think.
Yeah,
good.
And man, when I saw the cover art, I didn't watch the trailer because I didn't want to ruin it. But I was like, this is so reminiscent of Puss in Boots 2. And I was so drawn by that one as well. I'm like, surely I have to give this a chance. If it's a flop, then I won't invite anyone else. But it turned out so good. I told our entire like camp, like fellowship camp people, be like, guys, I'm watching a second time. You will watch with me. This is not an option, right? Because again, it is sad. It's like really hard, especially as a parent, to like, hey kids, let's watch a movie. There's like, it's really hard because a lot of movies are grotesque sometimes, straight up. Like even the kids' movies, there's like some things there you really just don't want to show them, not at certain age. So the fact that we can have these movies again, I wish we can go back to like a Disney Renaissance time, right? Where it's safe. Like the cinema is genuinely safe for children to enjoy, the whole family to enjoy. So
the one thing is that it's kind of general, but I can't say it because it also is a part of the plot, so I won't. But there is this very specific reason why my family really loves it, and my daughters as well.
We'll touch on that.
Yeah, we'll get there. But
all right, same. I would give it 9.8.
Oh, good. Nice.
There's very little to kind of expand on. I feel if there's anything to expand, probably just the villain and the world. But I feel like they're gonna do that anyways in the sequel.
Book 2, Book 3, movie 2, movie 3.
So I feel like those are the kind of lack that a single movie can't always fix anyway. So yeah, hey, overall, literally not below 9, not even below 9.5, I think, without rating. So yeah, that's like a endorsement. Universally overall, you got a family, you're a Christian, you have to watch this, right? But anyway, let's move on to the spoiler segment. So just to give a heads up to everyone, right? This is not a review or an endorsement. We're not getting paid for that, but we're doing a Christian analysis, right? We're going to break down what makes a story like this, right? Like any other good stories, so good, right? What are the things the Christian can learn from it?
But if Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf would like to sponsor this podcast, I will be here more often with Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf.
Yeah, we got a Coffee Bean.
Malaysia specifically.
Right, Coffee Bean Tea Leaf addict. Right, if we get a sponsorship, I'll tell you.
Okay,
but okay,
I'm there.
Right, so let's talk about the story itself. We can talk generally first, and then talk about those little plot beats that really struck with us. What are those things? Let me start by giving you mine. The movie is through and through about nature, right? Because we get robots and animals. They don't get along. Even the animals don't get along. And then the first big, deep conversation that we have with the character is, why do you do the things that you do? Right? So the robot, Roz, talks to the fox, Fink. He's like, why do you eat other animals? Why do you maim them? Right? They were laughing at throwing stones to the seagulls and whatnot. And it's like, why do you do these things? Why do you steal? Why do you kill? Why do you eat? And he says, that's our nature, baby. Right? The robot's like, you mean programming, right? Because that's her nature. I'm programmed. I have a duty. I have a task. That's like the only thing I'm going to do for that one period. So it's really cool. And as the movie goes, the story is about overcoming those things. Overcomes nature, overcomes their programming, and overcome the challenges that comes with their origin. So, was there any other big plot threads that you kind of see besides nature? Was there maybe? I'm gonna get to you, right? You mentioned about your family. So, what was the big theme that drew you?
Adoption was really big,
right? So, what happened in the story, and how does that connect?
I'm still not wanting to give everything away yet, so we have more conversation. But basically, Roz adopts the Gosling, right?
Yeah, that's when the plot actually starts.
Yeah, that's when it really gets going.
They have like a kiddie kind of chase and gets thrown about, some body humor.
And then, stuff happens, and either way, it ends up under her care, the baby Gosling. Right. So, right, Bill.
So there's a lot on adoption.
Yes.
Right.
And I would say there's a lot there as well, like even culturally, specifically in Asia. like not wanting to tell about adoption and keeping it a secret. And it totally destroys kids and families when they find out later, if they find out. I mean, typically they always find out.
Right. Okay.
And I think you see that
in the movie. Yeah.
In the movie.
Right. We'll get there when we dive into the plot. Okay. What about you guys? Was there anything striking, like generally in the movie?
Okay. Well, a bit similar to Matt about parenting. Well, even though I'm not adopted, but the parenting idea in this movie is heart touching.
Right.
I admit that I even cried. But
I was sitting next to him when we first watched. There's this one amazing characterization scene, and I'm like holding back. This dude's just balling it. I'm like, can you get a hold of it? Yeah, but it's like amazing. I can't blame you. Yeah. Right. The familial aspect, the parenting aspect, right? There's a lot of parenting the robot has to do in the movie. That's amazing. Right. Was there anything for you?
My favorite is the characters, the types. You know, it was incredibly easy for me to follow, and it was just it was very pleasurable for me to just connect it.
Right.
Yeah, that was actually my favorite part. I don't really have much feelings, so no, I didn't cry. Love the music though.
Oh man, music
was amazing.
Too, so
but I love just following the characters, the types, and then as the narrative goes, I could connect it and just piece it together one by one, and
Right. Okay. So let's.
I think you wanted to follow up on you wanted to say something else about it in your general statement, or
yeah. Go ahead.
Yes. So general. Well, actually, this is also the reason why the 0.5 in my rating is missing. The fast pacing.
Oh,
so,
pacing
it's
pretty
very fast. Yeah.
So, like what Zach said, this movie is packed with many sub stories.
Right. Yeah.
But
you wish they develop more, but you know.
No. The thing is I missed some points in my first watch, but in my second watch, I finally understand at least most of them.
Right. So it's worth a rewatch, you would say.
Yes.
Okay.
Worth rewatch.
Right. That's cool. So
probably the crying.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
But that might actually be a testament to the quality of the story as well, right? It's one of the ways God made us, right? Mm-hmm. When you realize you have a hand as a baby, you're like, you know, like, have you seen those videos, right? Where you're like freaking out about you finding your hands and you're like amazed by it, or you're screaming, you know? But guess what? Now when you look at your hand, does it do anything?
Everything.
Does it do anything to you?
Oh, no.
Like, right. You're not shocked. You're not laughing. You're not giggling. Unless you break it and you're like hurt so bad you're laughing, right? That is actually God's grace.
Right.
That we're not amazed by this, because just think of how much we wouldn't get done if we were just as amazed every time we first saw something.
Right.
So the fact that you can come into that movie, want to see it again, and see more, that's like...
Yeah. I think...
It's also a good testament that there's more to be like got out of it.
Yeah.
But it is really fast too. And that's why I think, and just because of how fast it does progress, it is worth a rewatch, because you will get more. Like you will get more.
And that's missing from a lot of movies, right? They treat the audience as dumb. Just spell it all out.
Everything has to be drawn out.
Right? Because they spell it all out, there's no depth.
Yeah.
It's actually not worth your time rewatching. That's why sometimes there's going to be one scene we're going to talk about later where I think a lot of movies use a cheap zoom in cut of characters to be sentimental, to be dramatic. This movie doesn't do that. It spends seconds, and I remember that's when you started bawling your eyes. It's funny. But okay, we're going to get there. Let's talk about plot. Your plot, the plot that you want to draw in. It's fine if it's slightly off chronology.
Sure.
But just bring it up, because your plot was the first. What happened that caused the main plot to happen?
Oh, yeah. Basically, it's trying to survive on the island, figure out what's going on. It's random chase scene, running from a bear, rolling down a mountain, and then stops on the edge of a cliff.
Right.
Checks underneath her, and there's just like a nest all destroyed, right? It just picks up the wing. It's not over dramatized or anything like that. And it's just like drops it and it's limp or whatever.
And as the audience, you're supposed to go, oh no, whoops.
Yeah, right. Like, oop, something.
Right. Something happened.
But I think it did a good job because it didn't
dwell.
It didn't dwell on it. It just moved on. And I actually thought that was really good.
Right.
Because I think of the C.S. Lewis novel, right?
Which one?
Oh no,
I forgot.
Lewis fans are gonna kill me.
Oh no, you forgot it. That's
it's the one that's talking about remembering his wife.
Yeah. I forgot.
You also remember? Oh well, move on. We'll remember it later, and we'll just scream it out at some point.
Yeah.
Basically, he's talking about how he like idolized his wife because he didn't remember who she actually was. He kept remembering this like perfect picture of her, right? And so we get trapped in like death is this like perfectly defining thing that you never escape from. But yeah, in this movie, it's just like, oh, an actual reality that happened moves on.
Right.
But it does affect absolutely everything.
Right.
But it isn't like this is the definition of the movie.
Right. And that's good because if they did dwell on it forever,
it would have lost the lesson.
They defeat their own thing.
Which is later. The lesson, and I think it goes back to the adoption and parenting aspect when it gets to that later. I don't know if you want to because it's basically at the end of the movie.
Right. So, but for now, basically, Ross straight up killed the entire family of Bright Bell.
Correct.
Our second character.
The second main character, right? Yeah.
Right. And she just kind of instinctively knows, well, now I need to make sure this one hatches at least, right? Because she sees the life inside. She keeps it for the time being. And then we get a quick introduction, kind of like no speech, but the Fox character comes in, steals the egg, a little other, more chase scene for maybe the younger audience. And then afterwards, the bird hatches. The bird hatches. Ross is like, oh well, give your satisfactory rating. Leaves, but then the bird, birds being, birds, they see the first thing they hatch is like, oh, that's my mom. And then we get a character Longtail, right? She's like, oh, whoops, this is how geese are. They see you, you're the mother now. It's your job. She gives her the first task. The Bright Bill needs to survive. So you, before this winter, need to teach him how to fly, swim, eat. Yeah. Eating is easy. Flying and swimming is gonna be the big goal for like half the movie, right?
But the main focus is on the flying.
Yeah.
Yes, cause
Closer.
Oh yeah, my bad. Yeah, cause in this movie, one of the main turning point is the flying lesson.
Yeah. So the flying is gonna be big, and he's gonna learn it as the movie goes, and then it's gonna apply a lot for the rest of the movie as well. Yeah. So okay, again,
which goes to the point of parenting, which I don't want to bring up yet, but it's so good. Okay. It's so good.
We'll bring it up immediately.
Okay.
If you get to
all right. Okay.
Right. The robot's like, I'm not programmed to raise a child, right? So gets the fox. The fox is deceitful, and I'm gonna tie into what kind of character the fox is. But the fox is like, I'm a goose expert. By that, he means the cuisine.
Yeah, right.
But tricks the robot into, feeding him, into doing things for him. And then we get, again, that conversation that really struck me immediately. Why do you guys do the things you do? That's our nature. That's how we are. You're weird. Because your whole programming is help. Care for, satisfy. We don't. The only one to satisfy us.
The only programming is kill or be killed.
Right, kill, be killed.
Yeah,
that's how it is in this island, right? So we get a funny little scene that I think will lead up to something big. They need a house, so they stole from this one character. It was Paddler, the beaver. Think about it, right? We're gonna touch on character a bit. What kind of character was the Paddler? When we first meet him, everyone was making fun of him because he had a goal. He wants to chew through the biggest tree in the forest. There's like this massive oak tree, I think. And he's just chewing through, and everyone's like, oh, what an idiot. He's still doing this after how many seasons? And then he's like, that's what happens if you eat wood. He's like, you're going to eat. Those words, which is really interesting.
And I don't want to give the exact character because we talked about this.
Okay,
But I will say the general, which is a prophet.
Yes.
Okay.
A prophet figure.
Yeah.
The one in the wilderness that everyone makes fun of, eats locust, eats weird things, and nobody listens to. Interesting. Okay. So.
Or maybe build something.
Build something. In fact, he built something, and our main cast.
Oh, yeah? Not
But
yet?
no,
Not yet.
but they have to do it. It's the next part of the plot, right?
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Our main cast, when they want to build a house,
Yep.
what they have to do? They have to
Copy his.
refer,
Yeah.
copy, steal.
Follow the pattern.
Follow the pattern.
So they build a house, and there's like a really touching small parenting thing where Bright Bill wants to help, but it's like minuscule. You know, the little
And
kids
slows down.
slows down the process.
Yeah.
But,
But she lets him come.
right,
It was she, but you know what I
Robot,
mean?
yeah.
The robot. We're gonna say she. I'm gonna say she.
yeah.
She lets it come and help, even though it slows her down and it's inefficient.
right. So Roz has to overcome the nature of efficiency
Yes. Yeah.
because efficiency,
For legacy,
right?
even
for
though she
legacy.
doesn't realize it.
Right. Efficiency for legacy. Because parenting is not just about getting things done fast, quick.
Optimally, yeah.
Right.
All optimization. Yeah.
She has to care for
Which
teaching.
is what I always have to learn. I have to learn that.
Right. It's
like
a-
it's faster if I just clean this mess.
Right, yeah. That's striking because Roz is like, that's us when we get annoyed when other people's not, catching up. But there's a lot for the character, Bright Bill, who's learning under her and all those things. So, okay, really cool stuff already. They build a house. Paddler literally scolds them, right? Goes into their house and be like, I know you stole. And then
Thunder.
disappear. And this is another one. Really cool thing that immediately struck with me. Then it's like, oh, we need to calm him down. Let's tell him a story. The story, literally, I kid you not. He says, well, there's this robot, Ross, right? He basically think all he does is retell the story of Bright Bill's youth in a way that lies, right? So back to the parenting thing. Fink says, don't tell him he's adopted. Don't tell him you literally murdered.
His family. Don't tell him.
That's kind of the joke.
Yeah,
You murdered this entire family. Don't say anything.
Yeah.
Because the implication, I guess, is you robbed him of his identity or his origin, right? So it's like, okay, tells a story, and the story is literally Ross is in heaven. She's in a star somewhere sitting above, and then she sees Bright Bill, who's lonely, who's deserted, and all these. So she comes down, doesn't remember a lot because she probably lost some memory, but she loves Bright Bill. She comes down. Why? Because she loves.
Because she loves Bright Bill.
Yeah.
What does John 3:16 say?
For
God
So
loved the world that
he gave his only begotten son
so only begotten. Yes.
to come down to meet with the one he loves. It's insane, right? And think about it. One of the title I was thinking about making this episode was, is the One Robot a Christmas story? Because literally the robot has to come down from above, takes a nature that was not initially hers, right? She has to learn, program,
Back a
reprogram
little bit into a world of
of
kill or be
wilderness.
killed. Wilderness, yes.
Of forest, a kind of deserted place, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not heaven by any
I.e.
means.
Judea.
The wilderness looks beautiful. It's by no means heaven, right? Because the initial first part of the movie was still good. It was a bunch of animals eating each other, and they play it off exactly how it is. It's nature. That's how we roll. So she takes on a nature. She's not polluted, like Helen mentioned. She's not polluted by the animals around her. She doesn't become kill or be killed.
No.
She has to become higher. Learns the animals' language. Learns to care for animals that she was not programmed to do. This is literally what Christians call incarnation motif, right? Stories about descending, taking on another nature. Call it sympathizing, if you will, right? Amazing plot beats.
But it's not the wicked contextualization that modern Christians do,
Yeah.
because she doesn't give up the nature of helping and serving.
Yeah.
So she doesn't just go, oh, it'd be like if I came here and was like, oh, adapt to everything Malaysian context and take all
Right.
the bad cultural stuff as well. It's like, I'm going to try to adopt everything that I can, but there's certain things I won't, because
Right.
it would get rid of the key things that matter.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, honestly.
Basically the dissension without the pollution, the kenosis without losing actually anything.
Yeah.
Which is again the funny one scene was the fox was maiming the birds. He's like, "Why do you laugh?" It's like maiming is fun. Try it. And then Ross throws it at him as a kind of punishment.
Yeah.
And then it's like funny.
Yeah.
Justice, recompense.
Right.
This is a really good one. But yeah, so even like the direction of that specific story was very interesting. So we get a time skip a bit. Now he's like old.
Well, real quick, with what you just said, just reminds me of like she does the thing that he does to teach him a lesson.
Yeah, right.
What about when like Jesus is using racist language?
Oh yeah.
And he's talking about, hey, why should we feed the dogs? But he's looking, who's he looking at in that narrative?
Judeans.
Well, he's looking to his disciples in the other crowd. He's not looking to the woman.
Right.
So he's confronting their racism using the word, but looking at them clearly, you're my...
He looks at them, says, I'm coming to them first.
Yeah.
The dogs eat later.
Yeah.
And then she says, but we also get to eat from under them.
Yeah.
At least the dogs get the crumbs.
Right.
Yeah.
And then Jesus said, I have not seen a faith like this in all Judea.
Yeah, still looking at them. Yeah.
So, amazing. Again, as a parent, right? That's like an amazing teaching tool. But okay, we get a bit of a time skip. So now it's getting closer to the migration, and it seems like they kind of didn't make much progress. They bonded. They're much more familiar. Bright Bill, our adopted character, takes a lot of similarities to Ross as a robot. That's like really unnatural.
Yeah. Friend acquisition.
Right. So he's really weird because he's like alien. He doesn't hang out with the other goose. He hangs out with Ross and Fink. None of them are his species. Getting close to migration. So they're pushing him to, hey, swim, hey, fly. And we get the implication that he's not even able to swim properly because Ross has been teaching
him the human model.
Yeah.
he has to right. We get this funny scene, but then we get like a really striking scene. He meets Bright Bill finally meets the other geese flock, and then they kind of estrange him. Right? They're all like,
well, they beat him.
Right, but before that, even the less how to say prejudiced ones, they're like, wait, you're the monsters child. You're with that thing that's not one of us. And they're kind of like giving a clue, right? You're not really that different. If you really squint, he's still one of us.
Yeah.
But they make two things clear. One, you're a runt.
Yeah.
Right, you're the genetic
weak.
kind. Right, you're the genetic kind that will not have survived migration. Period. Because too weak to fly, too weak to,
or just being raised to how old he was.
Right,
You wouldn't have made it that far.
Yeah, so too small, couldn't fly, couldn't stick with the flock probably. And then they bully him. They kind of make it like, go back to the monster. You're not one of us. So we get a lot of that scene, and how to say, the geese revealed it to everyone, right? Because Bright Bill's like, why are you doing this? This is my mom. Don't be scared. And then the geese are like, that's not your mom. Everyone knows what it is. Your mom killed your whole family, right? They're why you're weird, right? So was there anything striking there? Because I think Helen was pretty influenced by that one scene, right? The kind of like mindset of, you're not one of us because you got a different origin.
Right.
The origin overcomes the identity. It overrides.
Yeah. Because you didn't get what we usually get.
Right.
You're not by your nature still us.
Right.
Yeah.
And to kind of skip the plot a bit, the problem is if Bright Bill got the same treatment everyone did.
If he would have stayed with his natural family, he would have died.
Yeah, he would have actually not.
He would have been ignored.
Right.
As a runt. Yeah, they would
not survive. Period. That winter would have killed him.
Yeah.
So really interesting. But we get an interesting scene which I think reveals what kind of character Fink is. So they tell Bright Bill, it's a bit of a revelation. You should have had a whole family that was robbed from you by this monster robot. And then Fink's like, oh, now I know who to eat. And then tries to kill one of the geese, right? He's a Peter figure. He's the belligerent.
Yeah.
The
cutting off the ear.
Yeah.
And or like Boanerges, the Sons of Thunder.
Yep.
You want us to call fire from heaven, burn the city down, right?
Yep.
And Jesus says, you know not what spirit you're of.
Yep.
Really funny, right? But that's the kind of character Fink is. And this is really cool because it goes beyond this one scene. There's going to be a couple other scenes where Fink is literally that Peter character. So we move on. They have this breaking down. The not telling your child because Brad Bill's like, were you waiting? Were y'all like just planning to just not tell me why I'm weird, why I'm not accepted now? And he blames Roz and Fink. They're like, don't you think it's my right to know my history and all these things? So yeah, and that's like a tough thing, right? Especially with adopted families. How do you some people might feel, how do you tell? Because they feel like as if they tell, they are robbing the history maybe, or the sense of belonging, all those things. So those things are, again, what struck me in the movie. I don't know if you had anything else.
Well, I think it's interesting, right? So there's a couple things. One, they're robbed of the net positive of adoption when you don't tell them. Right. Because adoption should be a net positive for someone. Like, I think even, okay, let's look at, happened a lot, happens in Malay families, happens in Chinese Malaysian families. I'm not so much sure if it happens in Indian families here though. But the mom cannot take care of the kid, so auntie, uncle, brother, sister takes the kid, and then they raise the kid as their child, right? Typically, the kid finds out later. And what do they feel like? They felt like they had a loss of something, right? Whereas if from the beginning they taught them, no, you have your mother and you gained a stable family.
Right.
That it's all a net positive is what they're taught as. Then there's no shock of loss.
Right.
Later that surprises them, I feel like. Whereas if you taught them from the beginning that this is a good thing.
Yeah.
And this is we are acting above nature, out of love, I think is important. And then the other side would be also there's a similar effect, even when you do tell the kid about the story, but you couch it, which I feel like if this movie did take it this way, they would have told it in this incorrect way. Yeah, which is like, oh, like be exactly like a Gosling, be exactly like this, be exactly like that, right? But because so everything, the adoption, which should be a net positive for the adopted one's life, is always viewed as a net loss. Yeah. Everything's about loss, right? And so it's like, so they'll tell you in like adoption programs and stuff, like focus on their old culture, focus on their old language, focus on this, focus on that, so you can reconnect them to their past, right? Right. You should allow for that if a kid is interested. But what you should do is you should raise them in the benefit that they do have, right? In your culture. Like, our culture is Christian, right? Yeah. That's first for us. Before American comes into our house, right? It's Christian. All the way. And so when we talk to our daughters when they were adopted, we don't say it's like, because I wanted to mimic the fatherhood of God and adopt us as sons. And I'm like, no. God commanded us to do it. Yeah. Because his command to take care of widows and orphans. So we brought you in. And you got to get the family name, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit put on you. And that's going to follow you everywhere you go. So you have nothing but a net positive. Right? And that's how you raise them. And that comes out later when Roz realizes her foolishness of trying to raise him like the wrong a human. Right. But instead looks at him and doesn't raise him like how he would have been, which was as a runt. Yeah. Roz looks at him and says, we need to raise you according to your strengths, which is the shorter wing that everybody criticized. So he can't fly like a gosling. Right. So let's fly like a hawk. Right. Yeah. And he's and Bright Bill, as the adopted, is gonna learn that he is getting net positive. As we'll touch on that later.
The scene when Bright Bill was getting that breakdown, that meltdown upon the discovery of his deceased family, I actually didn't really take it literally, but I actually saw an imagery whereby Bright Bill is essentially, okay, we already established what character Roz is, right? His descending the ideal coming down. Okay, and then as Bright Bill sees the world, goes out to the world for the first time, and he doesn't belong. He literally behaves differently. Right. Okay, he's with this he's with life himself, and then he sees the world, and then he blames.
He longs for the world.
He longs for the world, saying, Shouldn't I have the right to indulge? Shouldn't I have the right to taste of this world?
Yeah. He's the prodigal.
The prodigal
son.
Yes.
He says, Dad, I don't want to have anything to do with you anymore. Just give me your share. He still wants the gold that comes with it. But I want to taste the world.
Yeah.
And then but here's the funny thing. He does go out into the world treats him like trash.
Yes.
For some reason he blames Ross for it. He doesn't blame those geese for not judging him by his strength and by who he is. Right? They're the ones who's prejudiced, but he lashes back at Ross, who's done nothing but trying to raise her the whole time. So
because his inheritance would have been that judgment anyways,
right?
Because he would have been a runt.
He would have died.
So he already would have been rejected, even naturally.
Right.
Yes. So I did see that scene slightly different, but in a way more relatable way.
Yeah, and that's amazing, right? The mastery of storytelling here is really good. This is how you make good stories. Just follow the biblical thread of family, and we're already this good.
Yeah,
so, okay.
I think go to like that net loss, net gain thing too. Like look at testimonies. The idea of testimonial.
Oh yeah,
religion. Where it's like, here's my testimony. Here's how bad I was. Let's spend 45 minutes talking about every sin I did.
All my sins.
And then Jesus forgave me. There's no focus on what has been gained and where do we go.
Right.
The religion is largely, what did I lose?
Right.
But it's a good loss.
Yeah.
But that's it.
Yeah.
Right?
And then in this case, it's like a second-gen Christian, literally having to not lose anything, but only to gain.
Yeah.
And then they flip it and go, shouldn't I have the right
to do all those things? Yeah, shouldn't I have the right to lose all the things like you did?
Yeah.
Come on.
all the moms at the back be like, you don't be like that, man.
Yeah.
The pastor's like, I was a biker, I was a drug addict.
Yeah.
The mom's like, please get good somewhere.
Get here.
Be Christian, pastor.
I didn't have one harem, I had 10.
But we mentioned this in the baptism episode. It's like, what about someone like me? I grew up net positive. I don't taste anything bad. That's a net positive. That's like never had poker, never had biking and all these things. So it's just again one of those things where we are like Bright Bill, right? The culture favors the victimhood of like Bright Bill, who's like, I'm robbed. Instead of seeing all the thing he gains, he sees all the thing he's robbed of.
And Christians, we do that too, right? Even scripture, like there is a such thing that we ignore as Christians, which is interesting because then we also like to be victims. We like to have a victimized Christianity and always see ourselves as losers and always see ourselves as like empty, not enough, not holy, not righteous, blah, blah, blah. We can't pray like the Bible does. Yada, right?
Right.
It's just really interesting how both with what you just said, right? Like the second gen and they come in. If the Christianity is always like about loss, they don't even get the teaching of how to see the benefits of being there, right? But scripture's there as well. And this is the interesting thing. So you have victim rights all throughout the law in the Old Testament, right? And scripture doesn't assume then because there's this extra benefits and protections to victims so they can get righteousness, that it's better to be a victim than to never have been victimized.
That's not true. It's
better to never have been a victim still.
Yeah.
Even though there's extra benefits and protection to victims, it doesn't mean find a way to be a victim.
Yeah.
Right. You're not, the rights are not something to capitalize.
Yeah, you don't want to have to capitalize on victim rights. Yeah.
So pastors shouldn't capitalize on their pagan background.
All right. But this is also where this movie is different.
Yeah.
Because in most Hollywood movies, the victim just gets the sympathy and done, but not this movie. I suggest we move on now.
Yeah. So immediately, Roz has a little scene where she rummages, looks back, and we find out one thing: she lost her warranty because she reprogrammed to fit her job. Right? The nature thing, the taking on of natures that would otherwise not allow her to do her job. She now takes all those things so she can do her job, right? Fulfill all righteousness in Jesus' own words. So she does that. Fink is like, hey, he's still gonna die winter. He's not gonna make it. So we gotta go. So yeah, like you said, we don't allow Bill to go on this tirade on woe is me, who's me. No, Roz is like, stop, you're gonna die. If we don't save you, if we don't help you here, you will die, and I don't want that. Right? If you go where you're supposed to be, I'll go where I'm supposed to go, and they'll just agree on that. So they make a kind of truce. They're not acting as family right now, right? The family is a bit broken. They don't say mom or what anymore. He calls her Ross now.
Yeah.
Which is really subtle, but that's amazing characterization. The conflict is still there. Dang. We get like a drastic musical. A musical piece makes everyone cry. I know for a fact. Insane. And we get two really fun characters. We get Thunderbolt.
Oh, yes, he's the best.
Yeah.
Wings.
The scene was like, yeah, because Bill was struggling in the air.
That's second though. First, you get the other character first.
Oh, do we?
Yeah, well, because they find the Hawk after
right.
talking
so we
to
get
Long Neck.
We get Long Neck. Let's figure out. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Just want to point out, Paddler.
He
gave the
he gave
static leg, right?
Right. Ross hurts herself. She loses a leg, and then Paddler just kind of helps.
Yes.
He aids him in the teaching of her son, right? So that's an interesting. He's like a proficient guy. He's able. He doesn't speak much. He just kind of watches them as they train, but he knows what they need. Provides it. Really cool.
Yeah.
But again, another character comes in. It's a really old geese. Long Neck.
Long Neck, yeah.
Yeah, and he says, "Oh, you're the leader of the migration," and he speaks in old tone. He's a very interesting kind of character. Matt saw it before I did. Think about it, right? What kind of character is he? He's been leading the pilgrimages.
Yeah.
And then he comes in, and then he says, Ross asks of him, can Bill join your expedition? Can he join under you? And then, what's the first command that Long Neck gives?
Endurance.
Yeah.
Specifically, what's the training regimen that he...
Don't let him touch the ground until the sun falls.
Yes.
Yeah.
His wings.
Yeah.
Yes.
Don't flap down until sun
sets.
Long Neck is Moses.
Oh.
Yeah.
Bill is Joshua.
And then sorry, I hit the table. And in the one scene, right? He doesn't make it to the promised land.
Yeah.
Because he dies.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
This movie is insane.
That was like that's the first thing. When I saw it the first time, I was like, oh, that's like Moses.
Funny, right? These kind of characters, we have a longing. Like, the first time I know the character, I'm like, I have a longing of like, man, I wish he saw it. I wish... Characters like Moses, they get to see from afar off. Long Neck was happy. He literally foresees his own death. He's like, I can't believe I lived long enough to see that. And then he's like, okay, he's committed. Because he's like, Bill is leading. He'll get there. He can lead my people there.
Well, his strength is failing.
Right.
I mean, it's assumed he's gonna get older.
Yeah, I don't think he'll survive the flight anyway.
Yeah.
So he goes and does the one thing that he can to reassure Bill and the pack. Makes it through.
Yep.
Amazing stuff. Amazing character.
Calls him to leadership. He takes it while he's still alive. Begins moving forward. And they see him in action, right? Yeah. They see Bright Bill in action. He dies. Automatically, the whole flock's prepped for him to take them. Yeah.
Long Neck anoints him.
Yeah.
And man, such an insane movie. Such a good. Yeah.
In the midst of their enemies too. That's
Oh, come on, man.
Yeah.
What? Hey, okay. So, that's the training. They go through a training regimen, meets Thunderbolt.
Yep.
Right? Tells him the thing he's been scorned for, small wings, everything.
Is his strength.
That's his strength. And he can mold it into his strength. You can turn faster, you can
dive.
You can do this whole thing, which, funny, cool little thing he'll use
later.
Yeah. So, but yeah, like minimal characters, but these are like mentor characters, the one that calls them to maturity and all these things. So he succeeds, and time for migration comes. And again, until this point, they kind of still haven't reconciled. They had a truce, right? But Bill still calls her Roz, right? But they kind of, for some reason, we get a short scene where they just kind of can't say it to each other. They're about to fly. Long Neck tells him, "Hey, net positive. This flight was Roz's gift for you. You would have lost more if she was not here."
Yeah.
The grand reveal was like, "Do you see any of your kind in our midst?" Yeah.
None.
He was the only one.
He's the first because this really
They never
is,
make it. They never make it to migration.
no, and that's insane, right? So, we get this again amazing characterization scene where Bill likely wants to say sorry, wants to say I love you, can't. Instead, he says, "I need one last boost."
Yep.
Right? The assumption is and then flies off. We get this amazing scene, and then song stops, pause. And then
Ross turns around
Right.
and chases.
Roz literally just says, "Think I ... runs."
Ran.
because because it's like they didn't get to
Say goodbye. Yeah.
reconcile. They, if you really think about it, besides the montage, they just fought.
Yep.
All they did was fight. There's still that tension, and it's like you assume that that's the end of the movie. You can't really meet.
Yeah.
The movie jukes us with like a couple endings.
And then the thing is, they do come back.
They later,
Later.
Well, no, in that flight,
and that's all they get
turns
to
around,
have.
comes back,
Sees.
right? Comes back to the parent that it said, "No, I want the things of the world. Give me my inheritance now." Comes back, receives his true inheritance back to his mother. Thanks, sir. Flies off.
Flies away. And then both of them, both Roz and Bill, kind of ask respectively, ask Fink, ask Longneck, "What if you regret? What if you didn't say enough? What if you skip that one conversation you're supposed to have?" And Longneck just says this one thing where it's like, sometimes hearts have their own conversation, right? And that's true when you make stories. You have to let the characters have an inner monologue. That's a show and tell thing.
Yeah.
Don't spill your characters all over the screen and just have them like, have the audience scatter and slurp all over the floor.
Right.
Yeah.
So
And I think where Roz would have been a failure, I feel like, of a character in this one point, is she goes back up to the top of the mountain and she puts the beacon in to call it back after that
Right.
point. And the realization is like her work wasn't done.
done. Yeah.
She still has to serve, right?
Yeah.
Because I think, again, not saying they had this in mind, not saying it's direct one-to-one, it's just what comes to my recollection.
Yeah.
And it's the fact of the words that says, "Greater works will they have than I did." And it's talking about scope. When
Yep.
Jesus says that.
Yep.
He only dealt in Judea,
Now,
Jerusalem, the outer region. They're going to go out further. And so
Right.
that's how we as Christians have a greater work than Christ.
Yep.
Because our dominion, our ministry is the whole world.
Right.
Until it all submits
Right.
to Christ, right? So then comes back, all right, fights the enemy, gets brought up, hung up in a chair, dies,
So
resurrects.
just with that alone,
Yeah.
you should know where the movie's going.
Yep.
As a Christian, right? Because that's literally what happens. Bride Bill's first fruit succeeds. Now she needs to do greater works. Because what happens next in the movie? Harshest winter supposedly the island has ever seen.
Yep.
Right? And to the point where the animals who migrate normally, digs in, huddles in, they can't make
They
it.
couldn't.
They're dying. So Fink is like, just huddle up. They die because they're off the world anyway, right? We don't care about them. Roz is like, no. I'm still here. This is still my duty. So goes around, saves all the animals that literally, we saw all the animals from the beginning who was trying to kill her. She saves all of them. And Fink does this whole, this one's dead. It's like, no, don't lie, right? Finds the animal. And we get this really cool scene. Again, thinking back to Fink as a Peter figure and Roz as a kind of like Jesus figure.
Real quick though, but again, there is death.
Yeah, there was one.
There was one
Yeah, one
where they
died.
look down
Yeah.
and they look into the hole and it's like,
Yeah, no.
and they put it.
Very-
But again, that's like, I feel like they did one of the best portrayals of death. And I think I'll compare it to Up later. I think they actually did better because
Right.
it's just like dead. It's an impact,
He says,
but
don't give up.
it goes on.
the work is not over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right up there with Hacksaw Ridge, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because the man says, just give me one more.
One more. Just
Yeah.
But amazing. So, really cool. They go back to the house. They take the animals, goes back to the house. The house
Got
that
'em
was
all.
built, copied from Peddler's One. And then, because it's winter, they haven't seen the sun for like the whole time. Roz has been functioning on solar the whole time, starts to die. and then all the animals are fighting because it's predator, prey, all in one. Really cool. The predator and prey are all brought into the house.
One wooden house.
Right. That was copied from
The pattern.
the prophet figure.
Who was biting away at the tree for in the middle of nowhere for
Was made fun of.
a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brought in, they fight, and then Ross calls them and says, "I know this is your nature."
Yeah.
Once again, we go back to nature. I know your nature is eat, kill, be killed. But to overcome the winter, you need to be greater than your nature.
You need a covenant.
You need to covenant with one another. A covenant that doesn't kill within each other. What does the prophet Isaiah says? They will no longer destroy in all my holy mountain. The lamb will lie with the lion will lie with the sheep. What happens next? Ross dies, shuts down. Fink, Peter goes on in Acts, right? Jesus died, rose and ascends.
Yep.
Peter steps up and says, "Men of Judea, this is the son of David. This is the one who you crucified, you killed, you hated. Now he's raised up and you can escape the judgment."
Yeah.
Fink says, "This robot, you all call him monster, you all run away from him. He didn't run away from you. He saved all of you. He took you into your home. And now you have to, you Gentile, predator prey, have to lay with one another." Right? And the bear is like,
And they're all pierced to the heart.
they're all pierced to the heart and says, how do we gain this inheritance? Peter says, "Be baptized." Fink says, "Okay, you endure, you sleep.
You sleep.
Baptism, sleep.
Yep.
You die as well. Everyone dies in that winter." Insane movie. The bear says, I won't eat, I won't do anything. They covenant. They sleep.
Yep.
Winter comes, moving forward a bit fast here. Ross realized, migration's done. Winter's over. The goose, the bright bill's coming back. And then they come back. Fink says hi, right? Have this funny interaction everywhere. But then Ross feels like, that's it. Job's done.
Yep.
Whole island saved. Bill is saved. Bill makes it back alive even. He's the leader now. He's greater than he ever would have been. Goes back, calls his beacon home, says, time to go factory reset.
Yeah. And I thought that was the end of the movie because, ascension,
Yeah. But second time the movie jukes us into ending, right? But then she gets called up. We get this like ominous robot, and she's a villain. And her line was completely neutral. Yeah. The liar, right?
The liar, yeah.
I'm completely neutral. Laughs like a maniac.
No feelings.
And
she's serpent-like. She's deceitful.
Right.
Yes.
And then,
literally serpent-like.
Yeah.
Right. Even the design, crazy. And then suddenly Fink is like, "What are you doing? Bill is your home. This is your home. Come back." And then Ross is like, "Oh, whoops." Has this whole fight, right? Because she wants her to go back, manufacture, reset, be a resource again. She wants to stay. And then they had this whole fight, and it caused the forest to catch fire.
Yeah.
So two big conflicts happening. Ross gets robbed. They're trying to extract her memory, and by implication, she will lose all the character, all the memory.
Quick backtrack. When the migration and when like the birds were discovered, slight overreaction where how do they deal with all these birds? Cannons. Not even just regular guns. Cannons.
They just kill.
They just destroy their own things and everything.
Right.
And that, I got no idea what that means, what it implies, but a slight overreaction in my eyes.
Right.
But knowing this movie, that probably means something.
Right. So there's a kind of, they're alien. They're still this weird thing the world's not ready to accept. But okay. To be conflict again. They need to save Ross. They need to save the forest. How do they save the forest? They all go back to Paddler, who's funnily enough still doing his thing, still trying to, as the forest is burning, bites his tree. And then they're like, we need your help because you're the only one who can help. Funny, right? How everyone just acknowledges that. Yes. Yeah, Noah is
the prophet's not accepted in his hometown, right?
Yeah.
Noah.
First thing, say you're sorry. Everybody immediately, we're sorry.
Noah's the only preacher of righteousness in those days. He says one of the hardest line, which is the only curse word in the entire movie. He says, male bovine excrement. Just makes fun of everyone. And then it's like, okay, acknowledges. So the way they do it, the tree is already like...
Chewed all up.
He already did all the work. They
just need to push,
push the tree, blocks the water, baptizes the whole land.
Yeah.
Saves it from fire, saves it from judgment.
The first remaking of the earth in the Bible, the flood.
What does Peter say? The elements will be burnt up like flames. And then there's going to be a washing, and then you're going to expect a kingdom that cannot be shaken. Which is fun. It's really interesting. Again, tying the theme of house. Their house, the place where they stayed, they also got burned down.
Yep.
They got washed.
Yeah.
Right? The thing that the prophet was looking towards, the new place, the new house, the new land, it's passing away. Right? And then they save Ross. And we get this really, the typical touching scene where she's dead. We're assumed to believe she's dead. Her memory is extracted and everything. But Bright Bill sits, cries, says, I love you. Sorry, didn't get to say. And then there's like a bloop, bloop, everything.
I forgot how many.
Wait.
7.
Wait, before we move back, let's recall. In the story. The story Finn told to Bright Bill.
Which is...
At the scene where Ross said, it was exhausting and what else? I forgot. So she complained about taking care of Bright Bill. But then Finn continued, but that means she loves you in heart.
In the heart. In
foreshadow.
Yeah.
Foreshadowing.
In the place where she doesn't even have as a robot.
Yeah, programming. Yeah.
And then she revives, beats the villain, and has to take this like leap of faith.
Ship is exploding.
Yeah.
Has to jump.
Wow. She has to jump. And then what does she do? It's really cool. Opens her compartment. Her power source, which literally looks like a heart.
Yes.
Rips it out.
Throw it away.
And then he's like, don't you need that? She says, I got everything I need. Holds Bright Bill, puts it in his heart. Insane movie. What? Crazy. Covers him as they fall. They didn't die, like, luckily. But the whole motive of like new heart, right? The new covenant promise. I'll give you a new heart. Bright Bill. Right? She says, I got everything I need. She doesn't need her heart of stone, her machine heart anymore. Throws it out, puts it in, falls down. And we return. Basically, we get the happy ending. But Ross sees her all around. It's destroyed. Everything's gone. And she says, well,
they'll keep coming.
The robots, they promise they'll keep coming. They'll hunt for her. So she has to go.
Yep.
It's greater for me.
It's better for you for me to leave. Yeah.
For me to leave so that all these things. But then she says, you have gained the whole world because look at all you now, right? You guys are now lying with each other. You don't need a house anymore. You guys don't need whatever. You just need each other for winter. Which is cool. So she goes. She literally says, I have to do some work. Right? He has to prepare the father's house. So she goes, calls the beacon once more, but this time goes willingly, ascends willingly to do the greater work, which we don't know yet, right? The world is building.
Book 2, book 3.
Right. It seems like there's a problem in the world. She needs to go up. She needs to be like Jesus, puts down his enemies under his footstool, right? Make rule and reign from heaven. But we get the small little scenes that thematically, conclusion-wise, is just really cool. The house burnt up, right? 70 AD, like the old temple. It's passing, this thing. Don't go back to the temple. It's passing, it's shaking. God's gonna make an unshakable kingdom. The prey and the predators, they remake the house. They rebuild the temple with each one, right? As Paul says in the New Testament, you're all temples. You're all building up, stones on top of each other.
Living stones, yeah.
And in the middle of the house was Ross, the picture where Ross and the entire island.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
that wooden carving, right?
Yeah.
Okay, in the first arc, it was
just
Bright Bill.
Yeah, Bright Bill only.
Yeah, Bright Bill only. But in the end,
the first fruit, and then the whole loaf.
Yeah.
The whole leaven. God's kingdom is 11. Little leaven. 11's the whole lump. And then, not only that, right, they rebuild the house. They also, at the very end credit scene, if you waited, the Peter, the apostle character, and Paddler, the prophet character, they replanted
the tree.
The
big
of
tree,
life, the tree that comes up, swallows up the whole earth, and becomes the tree of life again. Insane. narrative plots.
You know what? And the interesting thing is, it didn't get rid of nature, and I think that's really important, because if you could get rid of nature, then a lot of people would be right that you could just make your own reality of who you are and stuff like that. But they don't, because he jokingly says something. The bear does. To think
I'm still gonna
eat you later. But the thing is, they did have to return because there wouldn't have been survival on the island still.
Yeah.
So there was the specific terms of that covenant they had, right? It ended. But where you see maturity come in, which should come in with the New Testament over the Old Testament, there should be greater maturity there, because they're able to say no to their baser nature.
Their previous older.
When the new winter comes, which they do again.
Right. They rebuild the house, which they needed to begin with if they were to survive without sacrificing each other. So again, amazing. Like, how do you make a better story than this? It's like you just follow.
It just dawned upon me just now when I said that the humans overreacted when the birds wanted to pass by. Okay. Bright Bill getting anointed by the Moses figure. He's basically Joshua leading the Israelites.
Yeah.
Leading the wandering Israelites. How did the surrounding nations react to the Israelites just wanting to pass by?
Yeah.
They also overreacted and they immediately just like send their armies and like destroy them now.
It's a conquest.
Oh yeah, exactly the same. Come to think of it, so the humans reacted exactly how the pagan nations reacted to the Israelites just wanting to pass by.
Right. But then that's where Raul says, I need to do some work.
Yes.
But it's interesting, why did they do that? And it's because they had the prerogative of ultimate authority. Man is God.
Right.
So us and our machines and our systems, these birds are not a part of it.
Yep.
Right? And now, imperfection.
There you are.
According to my terms, eliminate.
Yeah,
yes.
Which was Ross from the start.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to be this way.
Yeah.
Right? She is the perfect one. She does what other Ross units cannot even possibly do. But they see her as the problem. The thing, we will not submit to this king type of people in the gospel account. Yeah.
And wait, in the ending scene, in Bradville was in the same location where the chaos happened. There was no chaos.
She returns, and the animal are in less danger as she does her work, right? And again, it's a really cool thing where she has a new heart.
Yeah,
she seems like she's reprogrammed, but then
still there. Yeah,
she's right. Well, remembers, right? So again,
and now they have a safe resting spot.
Yeah, and as they go out, they're secured. Roz is with them everywhere they. Man, what a name! What a goat movie!
Because that's where I think of, like, where you have access to God's throne room and reprieve there, right? Is like they're out there doing their migration every year, and so because she's there, there's a safe spot for them to find.
They can go further even because now they got a checkpoint. I guess
they got a checkpoint. Yeah.
So man,
because that's why they went there originally.
Right. Yeah.
But it was hostile land,
and now they.
But now they had an advocate.
Right.
Yeah.
They have an advocate with the world, with the people, defends from the world, protects. So again, really cool. And this is why I have to give credit again, even though we don't know if the authors, the directors are Christian or not. This is amazing story. Why? Because again, it follows the biblical story motifs, right? We and as Christians we can enjoy the story like just insanely better at a level where you can if you just think.
Yeah, we're actually getting the books. Like our family, we ordered the books, so we're hopefully going to be able to see what happens.
From what I heard, I'm not sure because even the characters are not as fleshed out. The book is more of like an actual epic. Ish narrative where it cares about the environment and everything.
But I'm just wondering where it's going though. That's like because the reason why they overreacted to birds being there is because they felt like they have to have that perfect system because something is crazy bad with the whole world.
Happening,
You just get the little bits and pieces of like something is apocalyptic.
The world's
with the image of the whales going over the bridge.
The water level is like insanely high. San Francisco Bridge is drowned.
I mean, but you see like there's some narrative stuff going on. But.
That's the thing. So, like you said, that the people got desperate. Because they were in apocalypse. Yeah. And we could assume that crops were scarce.
And birds eat crops and they don't even want them. Right?
Yes.
So but again, really cool apocalyptic theme. Imagine if we get a Revelation-esque, a dystopian. Usually, dystopian movies that I really like, they follow a Revelation theme, right? There's like a big
thing
Babylon
that
controls everything because everything is scarce and chaotic.
Wait, Babylon control.
Babylon is the religion, the state religion.
The statist religion,
controls all the people, gives them a mark. They can only buy, they can only purchase if they have the mark. All those things.
And do you all still remember the introduction to Ross Robot? Ross and Robot, we could.
Oh, we're in every family.
Yes, we're in every family.
If we are in every family, we'll make the society 2 times, 60% more family leisure time and all.
Yeah.
And the Ross unit will do everything for you.
Everything.
Yeah.
It will raise your
nanny
kids.
state. Yeah.
Man.
It will raise your kids.
Nanny
It will
state.
do groceries. It will do a garden.
Right.
It will do.
So even if we keep going, we can still follow a big Revelation apocalyptic notion. Man, I'm excited.
Oh my!
I wish
my goodness.
whoever's cooking in the back annals of DreamWorks Studio, please keep going because this is fire stuff, right? I'll watch a 3rd time if I have money, but I kind of don't. So, but yeah, right, yeah. So I think we're gonna end there. We're just gonna re-endorse everyone. Hey, watch it. Make this like a thing you discuss with your family, with your church friends, right? This is fun. This is the kind of movie you should support. Stop supporting those garbage like Amazon reinterpretations and Disney remakes, right? This is the real deal. I think DreamWorks is gonna enter the what do you want to call it, renaissance. And I think we're gonna do more of these, and we'll see to it. All right. So I'll see you guys in the next episode. See ya. Cheers.